and the bravery.
Mark Esper announced significant changes in the program that allowed Saudi nationals to train at U.S. military facilities. The Lombardi Trophy that goes to the Super Bowl champion is now in Miami, arriving yesterday ahead of next weekend's big game. That's your Ocala Quick Minute News, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Cloudy today, high 70 to 74. Tonight, overcast early, then becoming partly cloudy late, low 56. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, high 75. Partly cloudy tomorrow night with a shower in places late, low 55. Saturday, mostly sunny, high 70. Sunday, turning out mostly sunny, high 63 to 65. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian Day.
Whatever your plans for this week, visit the Camellia Show Spectacular at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. This fabulous free show features hundreds of trees, thousands of blooms, millions of different colors, and it's going on right now. What's more, now is the perfect time to get your very own Bob Wine's Heirloom Camellias with prices starting as low as $19.99 this week. And check out the Camellia Show specials like these. Extra large fern hanging baskets, regularly $19.99. They're selling this week for just $5.99. There's a truckload sale, all colors azaleas, many sizes, popular dwarf ever-blooming azaleas are just $3.99. Get a 1-gallon Confederate jasmine for just $2.99. African iris and society garlic, just $3.99. Come on over this week to Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens on the uncrowded southeast side in the same blooming place since 1952.
Each morning, we wake up thankful to live in a free nation with liberty and justice for all. But sometimes those liberties can be put in jeopardy, and you may have questions about what to do or who to call. Let Doc Blanchard of Blanchard, Miriam, Adele, and Kirkland help you find the answers. Attorneys at law since 1974 and located in downtown Ocala. If you have legal issues, don't go it alone. Call 352-732-7218. Blanchard, Miriam, Adele, and Kirkland, helping protect your liberties every day.
And good morning. You're listening to AM Ocala Live on WOCA Ocala, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, broadcasting live from the Paddock Mall. On the phone right now, we have an interview. Good one here, Mr. George Papadopoulos. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for talking with us today. A little early where you're at over there on the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm an early bird, and they get the worms, so it's always. I actually like the early morning interviews.
Excellent. Well,
Adam, it's good to be here with you this morning, Adam.
Excellent.
That's Annie. That's Annie sneaking in there. Oh yeah.
Well, welcome, guys.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
You got it. And with you on here today is to more or less talk more about the book, Deep State Target, How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plot to Bring Down President Trump. I just took a little look this morning and everything to follow through with this, and I've been seeing that this is getting great reviews as I was looking up on Amazon and everything. Phenomenal stuff here, partner. Do you want to talk a little bit about it for our listeners? Give them a little rundown?
Oh, absolutely, and thanks for starting the conversation with the book because, well, first and foremost, for everybody, listeners, I never thought in my wildest imagination I would ever write a book about the deep state. Considering that my career, even before I was involved in presidential campaign politics, was actually very mainstream. I used to work with very establishment-type figures in Washington, D.C., people like Scooter Libby, who obviously was Dick Cheney, Vice President Cheney's chief of staff, and Douglas Feith, who used to work at the Pentagon under Rumsfeld, basically one of the architects of the Iraq War. So these were some of the people I was working with at a think tank called the Hudson Institute. It was a very mainstream organization. We basically were putting together very interesting projects at a conservative think tank at a time when the Obama administration was basically destroying U.S. influence around the world. So clearly that put a target on myself, my organization, and other conservative outlets, including journalists. I mean, we have James Rosen, who had his infamous lawsuit against the Obama administration based on him being under surveillance. You have Cheryl Atkinson, who also has filed a lawsuit because her computers and other material were being hacked. So it wasn't actually a surprise to later find out that I actually had a target on me going back to even before I joined the Trump campaign. And the reason I mention this beginning is because it's very important to understand why I got caught up in what I ended up getting caught up in and why there was a target on myself and people like Michael Flynn. So after I leave this organization, I proceed to work for Ben Carson. First, I joined his presidential campain.
It didn't last
he's an
very
excellent
long.
guy. No, no. You know what's interesting about Ben Carson, though. Well, not only is he the only other candidate who actually got an administration job as Secretary of HUD, but he was the only candidate who temporarily led in the polls against Donald Trump. People might forget that, but he had a short blip there where he was the leading candidate. So I joined his campaign. Of course, I don't think the campaign was run properly, and he dropped out 2 or 3 months after I joined. And it was while I was at the Ben Carson campaign that I met some very interesting people who liked me over there. They knew my work in D.C. before I joined the Carson campaign, and I told them, look, I think Donald Trump's a winner. And I really think that this is going to be the next president. There wasn't even a shadow of a doubt in my mind, and that's the reason that I took people said, you were a relatively younger guy. Why would you jump into such a renegade campaign? And in my eyes, I saw a winner. I didn't see a Pied Piper candidate like Podesta was calling him. Right. I didn't see anything like that. I saw somebody, meaning candidate Donald Trump, who had a clear, concise, and coherent message to the American people, and that was all about trade, security, and immigration. And he kept repeating those three very, very important topics that affect our daily lives, and he had prescriptions for them, while no other candidates did. So that's why I knew he was going to end up. I knew he was going to end up winning. So, as somebody who has read my book or is following where I'm getting at here, it's exactly because I believe other people, including in the intel agencies, the Clinton campaign, and probably not so much in the media, but certainly people who work in the deep state in D.C., saw Donald Trump as a true threat. And that's exactly why, upon joining this campaign in March of 2016, we now know that the campaign had an active surveillance on it. People like Michael Flynn, General Michael Flynn, had the same spies targeting him when he joined the Trump campaign in 2015 that ended up targeting me around 2 or 3 months after the fact.
Oh, wow.
You had various foreign governments who were actively looking to undermine the Trump campaign, and that's exactly why the president himself, if you actually look back on his Twitter account about 3 or 4 months ago, he actually calls out U.S. allies like the UK, Australia, and Ukraine for actively looking to undermine his campaign, to target it, to dig up so-called dirt on people like Paul Manafort, to wiretap, to spy on us. And this is really what the book explains. It explains two things. One, why did George Papadopoulos get sucked up into this? Because that's actually a very important question that no one has really ever answered because they don't understand exactly what I was involved in my life.
Right.
And two, why were these foreign governments working at the behest of the CIA and the FBI in tandem to essentially spy on and actively undermine a U.S. presidential candidate, to undermine not only the candidate but our democracy itself?
Absolutely.
So it's not just about myself or General Flynn or even President Trump. This is about the institutions that we as Americans are supposed to have faith in, to defend us, to uphold the rule of law, because without accountability, upholding the rule of law, and these institutions that we believe in or should believe in, there's no America anymore. And I think that's why moving forward, once this impeachment nonsense, subsidizes a bit and, subsides a bit, and, he obviously, the president is acquitted, we're going to rehash and relitigate the 2016 campaign scandal again. You also have people like Jim Comey, who is now under criminal investigation, according to the New York Times. You have some other FBI lawyers who are under criminal investigation who are involved in my case. You have the John Durham probe, which is actually examining all of this material that I just laid out in a very, of course, general overview. Right. And I think this topic is really going to be, how should I put it, the meat of this and the substance of what the president is going to really run on. Of course, we know immigration reform is happening. The economy is breaking numbers. So people are very happy there. But as I'm going around the country myself, as I go on Fox News or I'm on great programs like yours, and Americans hear my story, they're very upset. They don't want this to ever happen again, not only to an American, but to a president or to anybody. So I'm really happy to see that there's overwhelming support around the country for this story. Of course, the mainstream media is a little is trying to throw it under the rug a little bit, but
right.
As we move forward, and I'm pretty certain you're going to see indictments on the other side, it's going to be very hard to cover it up for long.
Yeah, and what's incredible is, like you said, the logistics that go on behind the scenes, that if you guys sneeze or look a different direction, that they think they can prosecute, that they think they have something there, which is completely, just like you said, we're putting trust in an institution, and this is how it's turning out to be.
Well, I don't like to quote, people like Stalin, but in this case, Stalin.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to do it, but somebody shared a quote from him about this exact topic. And you know what he said back then when he was essentially rounding up political opponents and doing, essentially what happened to us? Find me the man, and I'll show you the crime. Meaning that if you want to dig up anything on somebody, meaning if you sneeze or if you litter or if you throw, your chewing gum on the sidewalk and somebody's watching you 24 hours a day, they're going to get you for something.
Mm-hmm.
See,
and I think that's what Americans are starting to realize, that there's a two-tiered justice system in this country, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
See, you're much younger than I am, and when I grew up, everyone was saying someone has a skeleton in their closet. That was the old saying when I grew up.
And now there's no such thing as when everything that is looked at or almost manipulated in a way to get you to be then spoken in a wrong way or direction. And what's funny is when I read the description, it says here, Deep State Target is a shocking account of international spy games and a disturbing eyewitness report on a secret double government, the deep state intent on destroying lives in a presidency. You would think you're reading like a Tom Clancy fiction in regards to what, this is international stuff, this is cool, this is James Bond. No, this is real, this is happening, and you're blowing the horn on this in a way like, hey, listen, people need to hear about this. People who are getting the book are like, wait till you read this book, it blows them away.
No, that's exactly right, and by reading it, I'm very happy to say that it's all being corroborated, not only by, some headlines you might see in some newspapers, but by the Mueller reports, by the Horowitz reports. And now, obviously, Durham's investigation is ramping up, and it's really looking into the foreign nature of what I cover in my book that obviously Mueller was trying to cover up and Horowitz could not look into. So that's why a lot of people now, even from the mainstream media, people from, CNN, MSNBC, I'm getting constant messages from them. Can you give us some insight into Durham? Can you tell us what's going on there? And I, of course, just ignore the messages because I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to get ahead of something and to try and distort, his investigation. But they're really afraid of this. And it's not a coincidence that people like John Brennan and other CIA analysts around him are lawyering up, because when this is all said and done, you're going to realize this wasn't the FBI running the show. It was the CIA. Yeah. And that's why President Trump, even during his recent interview with Maria Bartiromo in Davos, he called out John Brennan and the CIA, and he said this goes all the way to the top. So,
my goodness.
No, George, the one thing I like when you corrected yourself in a way that I really, really appreciate. You talked. You said Donald Trump as a candidate, and then you said, and now President Trump. And this time, day and age, he deserves the respect in that way, because now he is the president. And it irks the out of me when say, Trump is this and Trump is no. It's President Trump. He's the chief and staff. You know what you get my point? What I'm saying?
No, absolutely, and that's exactly why when I see people in the media, basically denigrate him and just call him Trump this, Trump that, and they don't realize that he won not in a free and fair election, which we did, but with all the odds against him. And that's exactly what we have to understand what happened here. Not only did candidate Donald Trump win the 2016 election fair and square with overwhelming, robust support by the American people, over 60 million patriots voted for him, but he won with all of these hurdles that we had to overcome, and we still are overcoming as a nation, and he is as a president to this day. Impeachment started even before he was elected. We all know that now. This impeachment theater is simply that. It's all political theater. It's obviously not going to go anywhere, but it's very simple. It's harassment. And when you have presidential harassment, whether it's the appointment of a corrupt special counsel based on leaks of Jim Comey, or this whistleblower who leaked information that was completely fraudulent, to start this impeachment proceeding, if you're the president, you're looking over both shoulders thinking, who can you possibly trust at this point? And, and I truly believe, it's a miracle that he's able to govern the way he is. With all of this going on behind his back, we do see record unemployment. We see excellent numbers in the minority communities. We see women's employment numbers going up. We see overwhelming support in the Republican Party at over 95%. The party's more unified than ever. And for some reason or not, the mainstream media cannot accept the results of the 2016 election. They do not want to see these results, and they want to simply relitigate conspiracy theories that have been debunked years ago. And, it's a sad moment for the country, but the president is, and Annie Marie knows him very well, and she could speak about him much better than I can. He's a fighter, and he's going to continue to fight for America.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you, let me ask you, partner, do you see this carrying into, even if you were to get reelected, do you see this impeachment stuff still dragging itself out? Do you see the Democrats still just almost doing everything you're talking about in the book to undermine this, that not only would be his campaign, but then another second term as president?
Well, that's why the House election is so important, because I truly believe we would not have lost the House if it wasn't for the Mueller appointment. And people ask themselves, when did Mueller know and Comey know that there was no collusion or no conspiracy? I argue that he knew from 2016, because this was all manufactured around us. So clearly, by appointing a special counsel in order to affect the midterm election that resulted in the House being flipped, that's my true belief. I believe the House flipped simply because of the Mueller appointment, or at least that was the main reason we lost the House. So that's why it's so important, I think, for us to stick on the facts. If you're going to protest like they did in Virginia about the Second Amendment, do it peacefully. Stand behind the president. Let facts speak for themselves. Let results speak for themselves. Unify around the president's agenda. Have candidates run for Congress that are going to support his agenda and not work against him like some Republicans have been doing recently, which I've been very heartbroken to see. And then we won't be dealing with this impeachment, this continuous impeachment process, because we'll have the House.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of things I want to ask and insert here. One, of course, you are going for Congress. We know that. Congratulations on that.
Yes, sir.
And number two, Annie's in the background for you, and she had. Yeah, she's hanging in there. That she wanted to say, and she wanted to say something because you are coming to Ocala next week.
That's right. I'm very happy. Any excuse to get down to the great Sunshine State, I'm always there. And Annie Marie's been wonderful, and it's a real honor to be invited to come down there. So absolutely, I'll be down there very soon.
Now, we would love to have you in our door here and be live on the air right in our studio, because we're right on the way to where you're going.
It is on the way.
I want to come down.
Go ahead, Annie.
Yes, sir. I will. Good morning to you all. I will certainly, first and foremost, kudos to George Papadopoulos and all that he's done, and he's right. We have worked very closely with the president. When the president hired me to be the state director here in Florida in his campaign, we did one heck of a job. But I can tell you that we are honored to have on January the 29th at the Hilton Hotel right here in Ocala. You can come and see George Papadopoulos, hear him, listen to this message that he took. We will have him in the Villages on the 30th, and we will do the Florida tour. We'll be in Jacksonville on the 31st. And we do have a very, very special announcement with only $20 for our senior citizens right here in Marion County to come and join us. We have the same discount for our veterans. And I know that you folks work very closely with the veteran community. I've been listening to Larry and Robin and been a friend for many years, and I'm so honored to continue that beautiful relationship with you all.
Definitely.
Let's get that word to our veterans as well. I want to see them there, and it's going to be fantastic. First-hand information. They'll get nowhere else.
Where is it going to be held in Ocala again, please?
At the Hilton, Ocala Hilton on Highway 200.
Outstanding.
Just off of I-75.
Correct.
Yep. Right there.
29 p.m.
Say it again. You broke up. What time?
January 29th at 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. Okay.
Excellent.
Very good.
I think George, I think it's incredible when you mentioned running with the idea of Ben Carson and then Donald Trump. It's almost like you're kind of looking. You wanted to see somebody who wasn't a politician doing the opportunity of taking the Oval Office and making change that was, I think that's commendable. I know it didn't work out with Ben Carson, but you had seen the flaws in the way the campaign was run, and it's ironic that people were questioning you in the decision to go with Trump and considering like, oh, you're going to go with that kind of campaign, but yet you saw something in that, and you were right, my friend. You saw it in 2016, and here we are 2020, and we're talking about even the campaign this year to the idea of re-election for a second term.
It's really all about authenticity and having true conviction and having true conviction in one's beliefs.
Yeah.
Whether I agree with or I disagree with the radical left or President Trump's agenda, of course I agree and support President Trump. When you look around at the Democrats, for example, the reason that people like Bernie Sanders, who in my opinion, his policies are completely insane. The reason and they're not going to benefit anybody actually, but the reason that he's surging in the polls and people like Kamala Harris, who was basically the appointed one, fizzled out so quickly is because Bernie believes in what he's actually talking about. while people like Kamala Harris have a machine behind them, but don't believe actually in what they're saying because they're fed what to say. They're repeating talking points. And what I think was happening in 2016 is that people like President Barack Obama, I'll call him President Obama, just for the respect of the office, as we explained earlier.
Of course.
Became a very rehearsed politician in the second term. People felt that he was a lame duck. He wasn't producing anything for the American people. He was more interested in bringing in superstars to the White House and actually dealing with homelessness or student debt and other issues. And that's exactly why I think it took an outsider in the so-called populist wave in 2016 by people like Ben Carson, who really became a national figure at the prayer breakfast when he called out President Obama for his, his behavior, and then candidate Donald Trump, who was speaking as an outsider, but it resonated to the American people who felt left behind.
It did.
And we still see it to this day. And those were the two candidates that I felt spoke directly not only to the pocketbook of the American voter, but to the hearts.
Of course,
And,
of course. I hate to cut you off, George. I hate to cut you off, but do you want to plug the website for the book? We're running out of just a little bit of time there.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm sorry we took up so much time. So, yes, thank you. The book is called Deep State Target, How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plot to Bring Down President Trump. And you can find it on Amazon or in bookstores all around the country. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Collins is on the president's defense team and says about Democrats' demands.
They're saying if the Senate doesn't do what they want them to do, then the Senate is corrupt. They know that they can't win on the facts.
The trial resumes at 1 p.m. Eastern. The actress Annabella Sciorra testifies today at the Harvey Weinstein rape and sexual assault trial in New York, saying he raped her too.
While her allegations are outside the statute of limitations for criminal charges, her testimony could help prosecutors show a pattern of predatory behavior from Weinstein. Weinstein is charged with the sexual assault of one woman in 2006 and the rape of a different woman in Manhattan in 2013. He says the incidents were consensual and has pleaded not guilty.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers in New York. America's listening to Fox News.
Deborah's home was stolen. No, I don't mean thieves stole stuff. I mean scammers literally stole her home. The FBI calls title theft one of the fastest growing white-collar crimes. And this story is why you need Home Title Lock. Deborah says criminals found the title to our home online and filed fraudulent documents claiming they owned our home. Wait, it gets worse. Deborah goes on to say, I was evicted from my own home and $85,000 in equity gone. Nobody believes you can get your home stolen this easily. This is why you need Home Title Lock, because no insurance or bank protects your home from title theft. First things first, go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if your home's title has been tampered with. You need to protect the legal title to your home so you don't end up like Deborah. Go to HometitleLock.com now for 60 risk-free days of protection. Again, that's HometitleLock.com. HometitleLock.com.
And you were listening to AM Ocala Live, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source. That's it for today, folks. We appreciate it. Thursday, I'm Adam Mickulin, your host. I had Joe in the studio. We just got on the phone. George Papadopoulos, his book is Deep State Target. It was a pleasure talking with him. Good day, Joe.
Good day.
We thank everybody, and we'll be coming at you tomorrow.
Friday.
We appreciate it.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
started in 1975. It's Yendel's Building Materials. Whether you're making repairs, adding a room, or building a house, Yendel's constantly delivers excellent service and top quality materials and many of the tools and hardware you need to get the job done. At Yendel's, they take pride in supplying their customers with new and innovative products. Yendel's experience in truss design, manufacturing, and component materials is second to none. 834 North Magnolia Avenue in Ocala, 732-3000. Stop by to experience the difference.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
And now read Ocala Downtown Newspaper online.
Ocala Quick Minute News. As President Donald Trump addresses a GOP gathering at his Doral Resort today, immigration advocates will be speaking out. Congresswoman Donna Shalala and other community leaders will gather in Miami to call out President Trump for what they call broken promises to the Cuban and Venezuelan communities. The Secretary of Defense getting his first tour of Naval Air Station Pensacola 6 weeks after a terrorist attack left 3 dead and 8 wounded.
I also had a chance to meet with the very brave and courageous first responders for them that acted on that day, and to talk with them about what happened and to really thank them for their courage and their bravery.
Mark Esper announced significant changes in the program that allowed Saudi nationals to train at U.S. military facilities. The Lombardi Trophy that goes to the Super Bowl champion is now in Miami, arriving yesterday ahead of next weekend's big game. That's your Ocala Quick Minute News, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Cloudy today, high 70 to 74. Tonight, overcast early, then becoming partly cloudy late, low 56. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, high 75. Partly cloudy tomorrow night with a shower in places late, low 55. Saturday, mostly sunny, high 70. Sunday, turning out mostly sunny, high 63 to 65. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian.
Whatever your plans for this week, visit the Camellia Show Spectacular at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. This fabulous free show features hundreds of trees, thousands of blooms, millions of different colors, and it's going on right now. What's more, now is the perfect time to get your very own Bob Wine's heirloom camellias with prices starting as low as $19.99 this week. And check out the Camellia Show specials like these. Extra large fern hanging baskets, regularly $19.99. They're selling this week for just $5.99. There's a truckload sale, all colors azaleas, many sizes, popular